Hey all, hope everybody are doing good and welcome back to homeschool and welcome to class 11 chemistry series. I'm with the chapter structure of atom where I have covered most of the concepts and I have come to the last topic of the chapter, that is quantum mechanical model of an atom. And many more are there to learn about this quantum mechanical model of an atom, which finally tells us about the structure of atom. This is the model that gives an entire information about the so-called electrons which are revolving around the nucleus. Okay, so in my previous video, I spoke everything about de Broglie principle and Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. And we can clearly understand that the electron is not moving like a particle, instead, it moves like a wave. See, if this is a nucleus, around this nucleus, this guy like electron, moves something like this in a wave form. That means we can clearly eliminate the idea of existing orbits. So in Bohr's model, we studied that there are distinct boundaries around the nucleus. We called them as orbits. And we also studied our electron actually revolves only in this orbit, right? But this is not true when we consider de Broglie equation and Heisenberg principle. See, instead of electron moving only in an orbit, it moves like a wave, right? And so came a new branch of chemistry called quantum mechanics. This is really a very interesting and important branch of science. We study many chemical aspects and physical aspects here, that is quantum mechanics. You know what? This quantum mechanics was individually developed by two scientists. One is Heisenberg. So we all know Heisenberg, and another important scientist is Erwin Schrödinger. Erwin Schrödinger. Okay. So sorry if I am wrong with the spelling. Okay. Schrödinger. Fine. So these are the two scientists who developed this wonderful branch, that is quantum mechanics. So what do we study in this branch? We mainly deal with the microscopic particles behavior. Okay, so this branch of science deals with the behavior of microscopic particles. Okay, so like electrons, protons, etc. Like electrons, mainly electrons. See, how do these microscopic particles move? What are the energies associated with these microscopic particles? And various aspects of these microscopic particles are studied under this branch. So, these people, to understand the behavior of electron, to explain the behavior of electron, they introduced a mathematical equation called Schrödinger's equation. Okay, so this point is really very important. These people have developed a mathematical equation. With lots of complex mathematics, they developed mathematical equation. Okay, so that can explain about what? The behavior of electron. Very important. Behavior of electron. Say, how does the electron move around the nucleus? What energies does electron is associated? Where exactly the electrons are present around the nucleus. So everything was explained by one simple equation that was derived based on complex mathematics. That is what we mean by Schrodinger's equation. Schrodinger's equation. Okay, so its derivation you will study it in much higher level. So no need to worry about the derivation of Schrodinger's equation. Actually, it's not that you have to mug up this equation. Just if you can see, it's more than enough. I'll tell you the importance of this equation. Okay, so just try to observe the equation that I'm writing on a board, which we famously call it as Schrodinger's equation. Okay, so the equation is del square psi by del x square plus del square psi. We call this as psi. Okay, divided by del y square plus del square psi by del z square plus 8 pi square m by h square e minus v psi is equal to 0. Looks very complicated, isn't it? You don't know the meaning of these things, but still don't worry. You don't need to worry about this equation. Okay, so just try to understand the importance of this equation. So this equation, when you solve, okay, actually psi is a very important factor here, and this psi represents something called orbitals. Okay, so what is psi here? Psi is called, it is called wave function. It is called with the name wave function. Okay, and this wave function represents so-called orbitals. So a new concept is developed, a new word that you are studying is orbitals. Orbit is different. What Bohr has introduced is orbit. They are just the circular boundaries. But orbitals are entirely different, guys. Okay, so what do you mean by orbitals? You know, how do you get these orbitals? When you solve this equation, you will get some values of psi. Okay, so there are many values you will get it for psi actually. Psi means wave function, which tells us about orbitals. Okay, so there are actually many orbitals in an atom. Okay, what these people say is there are many orbitals in atom. Okay, with different shape, size, and orientation. Okay, so these orbitals have different shape, they have different size. Few orbitals are smaller, few orbitals are bigger, and these orbitals have certain fixed energies. So here comes a concept of quantization of energy. They do not have all the values of energy. They have fixed values of energy. Okay, and they have different orientation. What do you mean by orientation? Like arranging in a particular direction is called as orientation. Clear? So how do you know that how many orbitals are there? And what shape do they have? What size do they have? You have to solve this Schrodinger's equation and you must get the values of psi. So for different atoms, when you solve this equation by putting its values, you will get certain values of psi, and these psi values are nothing but, they talk about orbitals. Okay, so in a particular atom, if you want to know anything about electron, for that atom, you must mathematically solve this Schrodinger's equation. Right? So this is how, these two scientists have simplified the complex structure of the atom. Okay, so now that we understood, the electrons are actually present in so-called orbitals, and in an atom you have so many orbitals with a different shape, size and orientation. Okay, so how do you know that how many orbitals are present? It is by solving Schrödinger's equation. Okay, so hope the concept has become super clear for you. So now let us understand what exactly we mean by orbitals. We know now electrons are there in orbitals. So it's very important to understand what exactly we mean by orbitals. So listen guys, it's very interesting. See guys, understanding the concept of orbitals is really very important, and orbital is nothing but just a space around the nucleus. Say in an atom, if this is a nucleus and you have lots of space around the nucleus, and the space around the nucleus where you have maximum probability of finding an electron, the space where you have maximum chances of finding an electron is called orbital. Okay, so let me explain this with a beautiful example, but first write down the definition. It's really very important. Okay, so it is a space around, a three-dimensional space around the nucleus where we have maximum probability in the sense what? Chances. Maximum probability of finding an electron. Okay, say for example, you have a classroom, right? If this is a classroom and there is a board here, and this much is a stage where a teacher can stand, and you guys are sitting here in a beautiful benches and chairs, right? So this is the overview of classroom. And can you tell me, where do you find teacher maximum time? You will find your teacher only in this area. But teacher sometimes can walk through the the spaces provided between the students. She can walk here, and she can stay here, she can stay here, she can stay here, anywhere. But 90% of the time you will find your teacher only in this space, that is only on the stage where exactly the board is there, right? And she'll be roaming only in this area while she was teaching. So if you have 1 hour class, around 45 minutes or 50 minutes, your teacher can occupy only this much space. This is the space used by your teacher, and that space I will call it as orbital. Okay, so I'll come to the atom now. Okay, so if this is a nucleus, imagine you have one electron. Okay, so if this one electron only rotates or only revolves, or you will find this electron in this area, only in this area, then this particular area we will call it as orbital. It's not that electron will not go out of this region. It may go, but 90% of the time, this guy, that is this electron, is moving in only this space around the nucleus. So that space where we have maximum probability of finding an electron, 90% of the time the electron is found only in this region. So that region we will call it as orbital. Okay, so hope the concept of orbital has become clear for you. And you don't have a single electron. There are many elements, you have many electrons. If you take sodium, you have 11 electrons. If you take oxygen, you have 8 electrons. Okay, so these electrons would revolve in a particular regions. okay, in a different shape. See, if an electron only moves in this way, circular way, then that space I'm calling it as one orbital. In case if the electron moves like this, say the electron is moving something like this, you see, then this space I will call it as one orbital. See, you can just check it out, the shape is different here. Here the shape is circular. Okay, so it depends on in what direction, in what shape the electron is moving, you know, say that region we are calling it as orbital. Okay, say electron can move something like this, okay. So if this is a nucleus at the center, if this is a nucleus, see, electron would move like this. It would pick this region only to move. Then, you know, this much I will call it as orbital. You can see in various shapes you can find the orbitals. So that's why I said you have many orbitals, because many electrons are there around the nucleus in many of the elements. In hydrogen just one is there, but what about the other elements? What about the oxygen? 8 electrons. What about the fluorine? It's 9 electrons. So since many electrons are there, all of them will not move in a same area, same space. So different electrons would move in a different region in different shapes, right? So that's why we call those areas or those regions as orbitals. Okay, so different orbitals have different sizes and different shapes. Clear? So now, if you want to understand that in many electrons, like in the oxygen, 8 electrons are there, and if you want to know which electron is there in which orbital, and what is the shape of orbital, what is the size of orbital, and what is the energy of orbital, you can understand all this with the help of 4 magic numbers, which we call it as quantum numbers. Okay, so quantum numbers is just like an address of an electron. So how do you get the quantum numbers? By solving Schrodinger's equation, you get these quantum numbers. Okay, so now we are going to study everything about quantum numbers. So what do you mean by quantum numbers? They describe about an electron. We know now electron present, it can be present in an orbital. So if you want to know what is the size of orbital, in which orbital a particular electron present, where exactly that orbital is located around the nucleus, if you want to know all of them, it is known with the help of the magic numbers called quantum numbers. Okay, so let us understand everything about quantum numbers in detail. So just remember, they are just like an address of an electron. Okay, so when I ask you your address, you will tell that you live in this country. Again, in a country, you have, country is what? One particular area in the world. Right? If you see a world map, a country is what? It's a kind of a region, right? And again, that main region is divided into sub-regions, which we call it as states. And again, the state is divided into much more smaller regions, which we may call it as districts, right? And again, the districts are divided into much smaller areas, which we may call it as towns, taluks, colonies, or whatever. So people exist in these towns, colonies, and whatever it is. Okay, clear? So just in the same pattern, we are going to study about an atom. So if this is a nucleus, there's a lots of space around this. But this entire space we are dividing into smaller major regions. So each major region is again divided into smaller regions. Say we are going to find where exactly, in which smaller region exactly our electron is located. Okay, so just like our country, like how this is a smaller region in the entire world, again this country is divided into some major regions like states, and then states divided into districts, and we people live in different towns and colonies of districts, right? So just like that, our electron has so many states, and it can live in district, a particular district, again in a district it can live in a particular colony, right? So we are trying to identify an address of a particular electron that is revolving around the nucleus. See guys, there are mainly 4 quantum numbers. Okay, let me give you the list. First one is called principal quantum number. Principal quantum number. Second one, azimuthal quantum number. Third one, magnetic quantum number. And fourth one, spin quantum number. Okay, so each and everything has a particular symbol here. Principal quantum number is designated with the symbol small n. Azimuthal, we will call it as small l. Magnetic, ml. Spin quantum number, ms. So these are the symbols. So just like an entire country is divided into states, right? So principal quantum number is actually talking about the main states where exactly an electron is present. Okay, and every state is divided into districts, right? So azimuthal quantum number will talk about the district. Say we are heading closer to the electron now. Okay, so we need to understand about the districts. So azimuthal quantum number will tell about the district, and again in the district you will have colonies, taluks, exactly where the electron is present, right? So magnetic quantum number will give you an idea about these colonies and taluks, okay, in a particular district, right? And spin quantum number will talk about the movement of electron. So like this, we have to discuss each and every quantum number in detail. So now let us end this session here. Okay, so definitely you will have a wonderful experience of learning quantum numbers. Don't miss the video and subscribe our channel to learn the concepts in the easiest way and in a detailed way. Thank you so much. Meet you all soon in the next video.